34th Sunday, Cycle B, the feast of Christ the King. Gospel, St. John, chapter 18, verses 33 to 37. The cross on which Jesus died, there was an inscription which read, "Jesus of Nazareth, the King of the Jews." On the part of the Roman authority, it was more of a mockery than the acceptance or even recognition of the kingship of Jesus. Today, the same thing happens. There are so many individuals who question the kingship of Jesus. What is exactly the kingship of Christ? What does it exactly mean to us? Long ago, I remember having come across an article in the controversial Catholic weekly called Laity. In this article, the author claimed that the title King was no longer suitable for Christ for several reasons. Today, my purpose is not to discuss the content of that article. The fact is, in the context of the suffering and evil in the world today, many people raise their voice and ask, is it that God has lost control over the world? How can a God who is King of the universe allow so much of suffering and evil in the world? So much of suffering, so much of confusion, so much of destruction. The devastation and the chaotic situation caused in Kerala by the recent flood. Drought in Karnataka and Maharashtra. The almost total destruction caused by fire in California. Hurricane in Toronto in Canada. The earthquakes and typhoons in various parts of the world, almost redefining the geographical existence of these places. As a matter of fact, of late, the sufferings brought about on humanity by natural calamities would be considered as beyond human endurance. Why so much of destruction? Why so much of suffering? Why so much of evil? Well, the two problems that are really confused, puzzled and challenged the faith of so many individuals in the world today are the problems of suffering and evil. So many people have spent days months and years trying to reconcile with this aspect of their life. How can a God who is so loving and caring permit this to me? An often repeated question. In my almost 20 years of life in United Arab Emirates, several individuals have asked me this same question. Why did my husband die? We have been together just for a month only. How come I lost my only child? Why did God permit this physical disability to my child? Why? Unending chain of questions. A bomb blast and an innocent family is wiped out. A car accident and the father dies, leaving the poor wife to struggle for the rest of her life. An epidemic like Nipah virus eliminates the very nurse on duty who cared for the victims in total dedication. A miscalculation in business, and overnight an individual becomes a pauper. He feels deceived and loses his mental balance. A dream come true. Someone defends his PhD. At the same night, he becomes a victim of paralysis. Tragedy is one after the other in the same family. Misfortunes non-stop to the same individuals. Indeed, a situation of maxi faith experience. Selling everything, one goes to Middle East, Canada, Australia, looking for fortunes, not knowing what is real misfortune. I know of individuals who have contemplated suicide. We can go on narrating and add our own stories too. In the face of all this and much more, can we say that our God is still in control? Who is really responsible for all these tragedies? God or man? Dear friends, our God created a beautiful world. There was no noise pollution, no air pollution or water pollution, no violence, no wars. Man was perfectly in harmony with nature, and nature was in tune with God. It was Adam and Eve who taught the world to disobey. It was the rivalry between Abel and Cain that led to the first murder in history. The Tower of Babel became the symbol of man's pride and arrogance. The same chain continues today, resulting in all what we see, in all what we hear, and not what we experience. As for me, when I am confronted with evil and suffering in my life, what I do is to read the book of Job. If a just man, as addressed by God Himself, was subjected to such humiliation and suffering, who am I to be spared of it? Another way I reconcile with the power of evil and suffering in my personal life is just look at the crucifix and meditate on it. Well, Jesus' power as King has to be understood against three spectacular moments of weakness. His moments of weakness in the stable at Bethlehem, surrounded by animals, when he should have been born in a royal palace. His agonizing moments in the Garden of Gethsemane, followed by a total defenseless arrest by his enemies. Finally, his agonizing moments on the cross and the mockery hurled at him by one of the criminals. If you are a king, save yourself and us as well. Well, dear friends, we wonder how the word king could be attributed to Jesus when he proved himself to be so weak, having absolutely no power either over himself or over others. There lies the mystery of salvation. There lies in the folly of the cross the kingship of Christ. The real power of Jesus, when apparently he was powerless by any human assessment. Jesus was strong when he was weak. He was powerful when he was powerless. He was victorious when apparently he was a failure. None of his enemies could even dream of his resurrection. But all the way Jesus knew for sure that he would rise. Even when his enemies challenged him to come down from the cross, he resisted because Jesus was sure of himself. He knew the real moment of his victory. He knew the real moment of his kingship. He knew the real moment of his power. He knew for certain that on the third day after his death, he would rise again and would disprove the calculations of his enemies. That was the power of our King Jesus. Dear friends, today let us all surrender ourselves to our King, to experience the power of his kingship over our life. Let us invite him to take possession of our mind. Let us invite him to take possession of our heart. Let us invite him to take possession of our body. God bless you.